Thank you for coming to the first meeting of the revived Disability and Access Strategy Working Group. I think that's the fair way to put it. We are quorate, but only just. The first thing to do is to elect a chair. And yes.
Can I propose somebody, please?
Yes.
Can I propose you, Claire?
Well, I was going to say that I seem to have an awful lot on at the moment, and I'm sort of buried.
Okay.
And so I was thinking that it would be helpful if somebody else volunteered to be chair, not necessarily for this meeting, but...
Can we delay it then till everybody gets here so
yes,
that would make more sense?
I'm happy to remain chair for the moment, but I'm sort of flagging up that I don't want to be chair for much longer, because we're just... I've got my...
So do you want to wait
really
5 minutes for more to attend this meeting, or did you mean
delay till the next meeting?
Delay till the next meeting.
Okay, so you will need a chair though, so will you be a temporary chair for this meeting?
And for this meeting and for the next meeting.
Okay, so is there a proposal for that?
And the second one?
Yeah, because I'm only standing for Councillor Pennington, aren't I?
Yes, you are, and we'll come to apologies in a minute.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so this is a temporary for the next 2 meetings
yes.
until permanent chair can be sourced.
Yes.
Lovely, thank you.
Shall we vote in that? So,
Unanimous.
apologies for absence. We've had 2. Martin Pennington and Vicky Tompkins. And they're both, well, Councillor Tompkins is unwell, and Councillor Pennington has only just returned from convalescence, and I think he's only just catching up with the things he has to do. Declarations of interest. Receive any declarations of disclosable pecuniary interests? Are there any? No. Public participation. We're to debate if members of the public should be given the opportunity to make representations at the working group meetings in respect of business on the agenda. My view is that they should be. I think we do need to have a relationship with people in the community who will have views about how this town works.
Well, exactly, and also we might not pick up on certain aspects of things ourselves, so...
Yes. So I think, if you agree, Councillor Franklin, we are
So you're proposing?
keen to have members of the public having an opportunity to participate. And we all vote unanimously.
Okay. Lovely, thank you.
Now, according to the terms of reference for working groups, we can co-opt up to 3 members, I think. And I don't know if you've got any suggestions of people who might be co-opted.
Not at present time.
No, well, I do know one person, but I'm not sure she'd be willing to take part, so I need to...
Yes. I similarly know of one person, maybe the same person, I don't know.
Possibly not, but I don't know yet.
Who has expressed strong views to me about how difficult it is. This person is in a wheelchair for her to move around Sandwich. And I've also, some time ago, had a conversation with Sally Barkley, who runs the dementia care unit or outfit, or whatever you want to call it, at Age Concern. And she feels that there should be somebody here speaking up for people who are not necessarily immobile.
someone from the Sunflower Group.
Yes,
Or, you know, might be a partner or someone in the Sunflower Group.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's a very good suggestion. So I think we should, because the unit over there is called the Sunflower Group, or,
Yeah.
and we should inquire as to whether they would like to have somebody.
Would you like that to be an action for me?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
That's a very good idea.
Yes. And the other person who was a very active, I mean, maybe that's enough to be going on with, because there's the possibility of the person that you're in touch with.
Possibly.
So you'd like me to put it back on the agenda for the next meeting to discuss again?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Because in previous incarnation of this group, Carol George was a very active member, so she might feel she wants to participate again. So that might be another
She has a lot
possibility.
on her plate.
She has, yes. So, the next item is update on the work and actions from 2023. A verbal update from me. I have to say that the group, which started in very good heart in 2022, 2021 actually, just began to fade away. At the beginning, and the previous membership also included Councillor Chandler and Councillor Friend, and they were helpful to the extent of knowing, for example, Councillor Chandler knew about how to get in touch with KCC Highways, and Councillor Friend knew about how to get in touch with DDC about pavements and parking, and cars parking is sometimes a real issue for people who are having to use the roads, actually, because the pavements are too narrow. And then they just began to fade out. So the meetings got smaller and smaller. We didn't have terms of reference. We hadn't been set up properly. So there was nothing to stop us from going on meeting, but it began to lose heart. But we did have one project on the boil, and which has so far come to nothing, and for which I have great hopes, and that is to develop an accessible pathway from the disabled parking spaces on the Quay car park, which are at the Tollbridge end of the Quay car park, and develop an accessible path along the Quay path, which goes past the back of the Tollbridge, is it the Crispin Inn, I think, and then beyond, and then move along the Quay path, and then turn left and go through Ainsley Court, which is the block of flats or the houses. But in order to do that, we would have to build a ramp, because there are two steps. And we got as far as, or I got as far as getting the agreement of the Ainsley Court residents, the director of which was really keen to see this happen. And then we got into a muddle with DDC as to which bit of Ainsley Court was being talked about. And again, it sort of fell by the wayside. But I would like to reactivate that, if possible. That's one idea. You may think, and oh yes, and then once people go through Ainsley Court and through their courtyard, they would have to cross Strand Street and move into Love Lane.
Or, sorry to interrupt, or they could go up Potter Street, because there's 2 exits.
Yes, but it's how you get to Potter Street, because then you have to go along Strand Street.
No, there's...
I don't think that's a footpath though. I know there's access through Electrical. Well, I think we're Councillor Angus was saying from through that
from the
that is a footpath.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Even when they did the plans,
Yeah,
that's a designated
yeah,
footpath.
that's true.
Well, it is and it isn't. There's some doubt about that, and that was another problem.
Yeah, I remember
But-
a footpath. I remember when the buildings were.
Yes, but I think we might have to redesignate it or something.
Yeah.
But Potter Street is much further up.
Could we not get access, or try to get access, by going, if you're coming up the ramp, presumably, then you turn right. Hello?
Hello, can I help you?
I'm trying to find out whether or not there will be a funeral next Monday in the Guildhall.
There is. If you go through this little alleyway here, there's some doors that take you to
They
the
don't
reception.
open, they won't open, they're locked.
Okay, there's a press button. Did you try that?
Ah, there's a press button.
Yes, and you can open the door, it will open.
Thank you very
Just
much.
might have to give it some. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you then go right, and it does say it's, prohibited, what have you, but and that's dead easy to access along there, then that would take you straight into Potter Street. If we could get access through that part there, that would make a huge difference.
I think what we need to do is a site visit,
Yeah,
a walk.
yeah.
So I think we need to, as a group, go and look at precisely what's involved.
Yeah.
I know when we were first considering it, when we were last considering it rather, there was a question of if the route was to go to Love Lane, of losing 2 parking spaces. However, the doctor's surgery parking spaces are no longer needed, and I think we have to do something about that actually, because they still say doctors only, 2 parking spaces there.
What about the butchery are we talking about?
Breezy
At the end
Corner.
of the butchery are we talking about?
Yes.
Yeah,
So if we need to compensate residents for losing 2 parking
Oh, I see
spaces
what
because
you
we're
mean.
making a
Yeah.
disability safe pathway into Love Lane, if we can get those doctors only parking spaces, that's 2 to replace them. And there are no doctors any longer in the butchery, so I think that should be an easy matter, but that is something that we need to bring to Heritage and Townscape, I think, about getting those parking spaces, the doctors only ones, changed to general ones.
Yeah, if we could get that ramp put in, and there was a big hassle about dropping the curb at the other end of that.
Yes.
I mean, there's the driveway in there, isn't there? So, there is a wide, so it's quite easy to go across it and into Love Lane, so
Yes.
that we could lose any space there.
Well, to make it really safe, I think we'd have to. But anyway, I think we should have a site
I think we
visit.
should concentrate on the ramp, get that ramp in,
Yes,
and get it
yes,
crossed.
absolutely. We need to do that.
Yeah.
So thank you for your support about that. So that was the one remaining action that is left over really. Plus the action to get those parking spaces
So I put here an action to take it to the
to Heritage and Townscape. Yes, yes. Okay, so I think we can move on to the next item, which is discussion on disability access in Sandwich. Members to raise and debate issues in Sandwich relating to disability access, and this is your opportunity to tell this meeting about any particular issues that you're aware of that we haven't yet discussed.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any specifics, but there are a lot of general issues, I think, about disability access. And I know we were going to do it last year, but it never happened. It would be worthwhile to take a walk around the town centre and
Yes.
just identify some of these areas that,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have a friend who lives along past the church, St Mary's, and to get from one end of, if she's going along Strand Street, it's a bit of a nightmare along there.
Absolutely.
A complete nightmare. So, I mean, there are lots of areas to look at, and I suggest it would be helpful if we went round and
Worked out some safe routes.
worked out some safe routes and just see if there are any improvements to be made.
Yes. I mean, I don't think we should just concentrate on the core of Sandwich, because, you know,
But we have to start somewhere.
we do, but there are also specific problems with people on Willowbank,
Okay.
because
Crossing the
particularly
bridge.
if they're in wheelchairs, or, you know, pushing aids of various kinds, that bridge is impossible for them, and they're actually trapped on Willowbank. Even though there are flats there which have a lift, it's a real problem.
Well, that's a major issue.
That is a major issue.
It needs an accessible button for them, push a button, turn the lights to red, so then they have a 5-minute window that they could go across.
That is a
exactly.
very good idea,
Yeah.
because previously, in the previous incarnation, we talked about that crossing opposite Bell Hotel, where you've got traffic coming from all directions, and there's never a pause when pedestrians can cross. It's incredibly dangerous, and it's much more dangerous for people on scooter.
It's very dodgy if you're a pedestrian, you know,
It's
to
very-
walk across,
Exactly.
let alone for anybody who can't.
That's right. But a button.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crossing that.
I mean, what we were told, according to Councillor Chandler, was that KCC highways would not consider having a pedestrian-friendly pause because they thought that the build-up of traffic in Strand Street would create additional problems. And I mean, there's already build-up of traffic in Strand Street. I really couldn't understand that.
Was that her personal opinion, or was that based
Well,
on?
I mean, that's what she related back.
It was 5 minutes stoppage. It
Um,
won't be 5 minutes,
Yeah.
is it?
Hard luck, yeah.
So that is, I mean, to deal with the bridge problem,
Yeah.
I think having a button to stop, because when a bus goes across that bridge, it's even dangerous if you're a mobile pedestrian carrying shopping.
Well, they're on a curve, don't they? And the back swings right over the
Yeah.
curve, doesn't it?
Yes,
Yeah, they're too long, they're miles too long.
yes. So that is something to consider. And again, it would be KCC highways, I think, that would, whoever it is that run the bridge,
KCC.
it's KCC.
So would you like me to put an action to investigate who it falls under?
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be very good.
Maybe that side's going to get bigger, isn't it, Willowbank? I mean, it can be double the size.
Yes.
Yeah.
And say 10 years to
That's
get
something
twice
that
as
can't
big.
be ignored, isn't it?
No.
You know, people being able to access town centre.
That's
It's a
right.
basic, isn't it, really?
Then one time I was actually talking about clamping something on the side of the bridge, you know, so they could still swing open and shut. But that'd be quite expensive, but that'd be the perfect idea, wouldn't it? Having
That'd be a sort of
have a
pedestrian.
metre wide bit on the clamp to the side of the
Yes.
bridge, so they could just, whenever, and then you just open them up and normally does.
And has that been considered in the
They
past?
did talk about it one time, yeah. That'd be the perfect idea, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. I mean, obviously a pedestrian bridge would be perfect.
Yeah.
But it would have to be, it would have to be.
If they clamped it on the side, it would open with the
Yes,
bit as well.
yes.
But a button would
It's a cost.
certainly be an excellent idea, and be much
Safer.
safer and easier and quicker than, I mean, it's something to consider for the future, but in the interim, the button would be a perfect.
Yes.
They could do it on 06 money from the new bridge, from the new development.
Yes.
That's the idea of this
Because
money, I thought,
obviously,
wasn't it?
I mean, you know, I'm sure the developers of Willowbank
Yeah.
are keen. I mean, if they're selling flats and so on,
Yeah.
you know, the more people that the bigger their market, the better. But if it's impossible to get to those dwellings across the bridge,
And they could design them always to sort of blend in with the bridge, couldn't they?
well, yes, I can just see Heritage saying, oh no, you can't have anything added to that bridge. Can't you? I mean, it's
It's quite a new bridge actually, isn't it? Yeah, I know. But if you blended in though, you wouldn't know it was there, would you, from a distance?
No.
You know, if it was white and it, you know, a similar superstructure, it blended in, you wouldn't even know it was there.
I'm hugely in favour of all the heritage stuff and everything, but sometimes
it has to move with the times.
yes,
And
sometimes the needs of
The people.
currently living
That's
there
right.
have to be taken into consideration.
Yes, yes. So that's another project that we should be looking at, but also areas beyond the railway line. You know, I think I sent you that little piece that I wrote with Chris Elvin, where we travelled on mobility scooters from Polders down and on the Woodnesborough Road, and it was frankly terrifying.
Scary.
Yeah.
And there are very, very few dropped curbs there, and at some points you do actually have to go into the road. And there's a hill. Well, we all know there's a hill.
That's right.
And traffic comes at speed over that hill. There are cars parked.
So could you clarify the road that is?
Woodnesborough Road.
What about the entrance to the cemetery? Because years ago there was always the cemetery, and now they made it a public footpath and street light. But when you come on Woodnesborough Road there's a lip, isn't there? You know, and I often wonder whether they could chamfer that lip, because I have seen a wheelchair tip over.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, from the cemetery.
yeah, but it's one of those little ones with the little wheels, you know,
Right.
not the big wheels, you know. They have to keep right over to the right hand side, and it starts off a bit like that, but then it goes a bit like that, but he was going a bit fast and he actually tipped over. So it just needs like a little chamfer. I mean, they only need a grinding thing, and just put a little,
Yes.
take the edge off.
Well, that's another reason to go for a walk.
Yeah.
But, it'll be quite a long walk, because I
Yeah.
would like to include
Same with that
that
area.
area and the Willowbank problem.
Yeah.
I think, well, I'm sure if we put our individual minds to it, we'll find other things.
Yeah.
So another action is to arrange a walk around the town, possibly with somebody in a wheelchair, if we can, you know, recruit somebody. Okay, so the next item is forward plan, and I think we've probably developed as much as we can at the moment.
So just for minutes, so I have this correct, you're talking about reactivating the project regarding the pathway from disability spots at the Quayside car park, and then doing a walk around to assess the town generally for accessibility.
Yes.
And then next one was the bridge
Yes.
with Willowbank, so they're the three things that you're looking at.
At the moment, yes.
Yes.
So I think that's a pretty good forward plan, actually. I think that will keep
I
us
think
going
that's
for a little
achievable
while.
as well, which is important, isn't it? You have to have things that you could
Yes,
make you fabulous to
absolutely,
do
yes, we
something
don't want to fail all the
massive,
time.
but it's got to be achievable.
Just if you can get some of that 106 money from Willowbank to
Yes,
help the access across the bridge be brilliant, wouldn't it?
yes.
Rather than spend it on, I know a lot of it goes on school, but a lot of it I think is going out of the area now. Out of our
It
area.
just goes into a big pot
Pot.
at KCC,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
it is.
They decide
Yeah.
what should be done with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem that the town council has any say in it at all, which doesn't seem reasonable to me. And the other action was about
Before we enter
discussing the
meeting, I'll
parking.
read through the actions
Okay.
if you want to read, make
Yeah,
sure I've got
okay.
everything.
Fine, that's lovely. Okay, so then I think we move to frequency of meetings, to decide the frequency of meetings. We used to meet, initially we met every 2 months. I didn't think that was enough, so we started meeting once a month. But we may find that rather too much, I think.
Well, I think once every 2 months, because that also gives us a chance to
Do bits.
move forward,
Yeah.
get stuff done.
Get stuff
Yeah,
done.
Yes.
and report back with it rather than just.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we would meet next in early March, first week of March, that sort
I
of
know I'm only on here temporary,
Mhm.
but I'm only on here temporary,
Yeah.
so it doesn't really concern me away, but there's also a planning meeting tonight, so I've got another meeting later on, so if it could be another Wednesday,
Yes,
rather
Maybe the
than,
second Wednesday?
yes.
rather than don't think it makes much difference really, does it?
No, but
It's
it's,
easier
it's
for
nice
me.
not to have too many meetings. I
No
agree.
big meetings.
The planning's going to be a lot more tonight, I think.
And is this time the same?
I think so, and this
It's
room is
nice,
very,
isn't it?
absolutely
And this one,
ideal.
Yeah.
Absolutely ideal. I'm
Yeah.
very pleased that we do now have
I mean, this
really
is a very,
accessible.
very good space.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's lovely. Really
Okay.
lovely. Good. Um, so our next meeting will be on the 2nd week of March. And then we come to the question of a public meeting. I should say that this started with a public meeting, this originally, which was really rather well attended. But people talked in very general terms about pedestrianisation particularly, which of course would be enormously helpful, but is a huge issue in the town, and one that we may not feel fit to tackle, certainly not on our own. I mean, it would be something for the whole town council to consider. Perhaps when we've got some ideas put together and funded, or at least an idea of how much they would cost and where the funding might come from, that might be a time to hold a public meeting and see what the response might be, or perhaps you don't think there's any point in.
I do think there's some point in doing that, but I think it needs to be a bit further down the line after we've had at least 2 meetings where we've
Yes.
got more people attending, so that we can get a better
Should we get
idea.
Facebook page up and running and get it
Yes.
sorted out on the web, can't they? So people can
Yeah.
access what we
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
and
Yeah,
get it on
that's
there and
good.
get your comments back then as well.
Yeah.
can't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not clear what's happening about town council Facebook page. Do you know, Craig?
In what way? What's...
I mean,
It's
is
up and running
anybody,
again.
is anybody feeding it?
Yes.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
as far as I'm aware.
right.
Yeah. I think it would be in this temporary transition until our new section would be me that would be doing that, but that's to be handed over.
Okay,
But yes, we definitely put stuff on social media.
yes, and on the website.
And definitely on the website, yes.
So maybe we should just leave the decision as to whether we hold a public meeting until,
You want to add it, so everyone maybe review it in May?
yes, I think that would be a good idea.
And people would be, if we're going to have one, we wanted a decent time of year that people can actually come out and are happy to venture out, particularly if they're, you know,
Might be better in the day rather than the evening as well.
Good. I think we're more or less at the end. I didn't think it was
Well, it's
going to
got
be
to
a
be,
terrible meeting. But it's, I'm so pleased it started up again, because I do think this, I mean, the reason I came to this was when my mother was in residential care in Wyndham and used to come to Sandwich. It was a nightmare, pushing her around in a wheelchair. She would be, she had tendencies towards hysteria anyway, but I would be pushing her against the traffic in Strand Street to try and get her into the centre of town, and she would be shouting, "Oh, what's happening? What's happening?" And you know, because cars would be coming towards her at speed.
well, if you think about it, it's very scary, isn't it? If you're down that level as well, you
That's
have no
right.
control.
That's right, and she thought it was all my fault, of course.
Well, obviously.
You know, I was pushing her the wrong way, but I there was no alternative. I couldn't get her up the steps into Seven Post Alley, which would have been the safe way to do it once we were on Seven Post Alley. It was, so I had to push her that way.
Well, I mean, we always use the roads rather than the pavements. Nothing wrong with our, you know, ability to walk, etc. So, and that's
Traffic's been ridiculous, really, Sam, isn't it?
oh God,
You're always in a
just,
hurry.
yeah.
It's
But
always-
it's just the pavements are difficult to, I think, to use.
Yes.
And that's as somebody who can
Too
walk
narrow
and use it.
sometimes, yeah.
And that's why people do talk about pedestrianisation, because
You go get cars parked and they've got the mirrors in the way as well, haven't they? You get a big
Yes,
car
yeah.
parked on the pavement and so then,
Yeah.
you know, you've got massive, they even put the mirrors in.
So what's the time, just so I can call the end of the meeting?
it's 11:34. But you're going to just read out the action.
Yes, so,
And it's going through the date of the next meeting.
yes, so, I've got here an action to contact Sunflower Group to ask for a representative if they would like to join. The next action was to find out who manages the bridge, the Meadow, so what's it called, Meadow?
Willowbank.
Willowbank,
There's a
sorry,
big-
Willowbank.
A really quite new estate which is expanding all the time. Called Willowbank, which contains little blocks of flats.
To help arrange the walk around for an assessment of the town in different areas.
Yes.
That you've agreed 3 areas to work on. One is the walk around the Quayside Path and the Willowbank Bridge. And then an action to add the review of a public meeting in May to the agenda.
And there's also the car parking spaces.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
The doctors only car parking spaces. Which,
There you go,
need,
sorry, action, yes,
which need to be removed.
yes, that's on there as well.
Good. Okay. Oh, thank you.
Well, actually, you can make it say good,